Hello, everybody. Tracy Hackler with Roadshow Cards back with another edition. We made it to episode 2 of the Roadshow Roundup. It's a miracle, probably, in some people's eyes, but we're back again. And as you can tell on a jam-packed screen, we have Kevin Kulikowski, who will run some point soon the New York Roadshow in Broxville, New York. We have Trey Huntsman. He's like not the granddaddy because he's not that old, but he's like the original store manager for the Roadshow franchise who runs the Kentucky Roadshow, the home base in Lexington. Has done that for what, Trey, like a year and a half almost. Bottom left, we only have one of the two Channels brothers. We have the one that we like the most, Ryan, because Justin's apparently on a plane, like closing deals down or something. So we have Ryan Channels, who will, with his brother, run the California Roadshow in Sonoma, California. And last, but again, certainly not least, Cody Krim, Texas Roadshow, Mansfield, Texas. And once again, gentlemen, thank you for
really
joining
aggressive.
Thank you. Well, Cody's nothing if not aggressive. I think I've said that for years. And so what's going on, guys? Like, how is your week so far? And any big things going on in the shop world?
Yeah, so I think we have a lot of interesting shop news coming up from all the stores. But any update's a good update at this point. So we got a lot of stuff moving in that direction for us. We got some videos that we're going to share. But yeah, no, I'm super excited. I heard Trey had a great week in Kentucky. I had a great weekend because I have a couple big Burrow cards. So I had no faith in them beating the Chiefs, but I'm glad they did.
It was a big weekend here, being this close to Cincinnati. We, through our online store and through in-shop, every Joe Burrow, every T. Higgins, every Jamar Chase, everything is just gone. I'm talking $1 to $5 to $10 to flawless autos, whatever. Just straight up sold out of football. Just from top to bottom, classics football to Donruss H2 to select retail, immaculate football. The last 3 days were absolutely nuts. And it wasn't like one of those things where the shelves were empty. I'm talking like just nonstop buying of football. Roadshow Breaks had a good one with the football as well. It was just absolutely crazy. But we've got some more football coming out this week. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. A little bit more of a surprise release that comes out tomorrow from Panini. But I know Ryan and Kevin probably have more interesting updates about the shop build-outs.
Yes.
Well, so our shop has been – so Justin and I, as you know, if you listen to the first podcast, we were in Kentucky for 2 weeks training there. And it matched up very well with the work we needed to be done on our shop with the root. There was the tree root growing through our shop. That was removed, and we went back and kind of surveyed all of the work that they did. And the walls have new 2x4s. They have new foundation. They raised the foundation and kind of sanded everything down, so it's ready to be painted. So next stage for us will be flooring, and our contractor gets back in there on this coming Friday. So very excited about a 3.5 week delay, but we're right back on track.
Do you miss Kentucky, though?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Do you miss me?
Yes.
Thank you.
Not as much.
I miss you more, Tracy.
Well,
Cody, didn't you see him like yesterday?
yeah, I see Cody all the time.
Yeah, sometime last week.
We're kind of kindred Mansfield shop spirits.
I miss Justin.
Yeah, I miss Justin.
He big timed us today, huh? Can we talk about
I
that?
straight up went to Miami and said, I no longer care about this podcast.
Right.
Yeah, I want to be like Justin when I grow up, that I can just hop on a plane, go to Miami, close down a big car deal, and no,
He just
y'all
lived
do
like
the
Pitbull the
podcast.
whole day.
He had a cigar and he was just on the beach. He's like, "Hey, what's up?" And you just FaceTime me. I'm like, "Oh, all right,
Well, thanks,
you
dude.
do your thing, man."
It was a celebratory cigar like Joe Burrow, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's he said that. That's all.
So Kevin, you've got some
Yeah.
architecture news
Yeah. So
situation.
again, we're going to shout back out working with small villages and small towns. Before we are allowed to make any sort of moves whatsoever, the town wants a detailed blueprint and architecture. Like we need to have an architect come in and fully label like every single thing that we want to do in the space for the town to review, to then give the green light. So I mean, nothing that we're doing is drastic once again, so I don't foresee any issues happening. But I do have a meeting with the architect coming up on Thursday morning, and then next week we'll have a further update and hopefully some movement then.
So you need to have the architect come in, drop the blueprint, and then that has to be approved by the township or the
Yes.
village before anything can get started.
Yep.
That doesn't sound like it's going to be a barrel of monkeys.
No, I will say though, late last week I did go into town hall just to sort of introduce myself, ask some questions, and get the ball rolling on that front. And the folks in the Bronxville town hall were just wonderful to deal with. So I have very, very high hopes that this is going to be a quick and an easy process.
If there's anything like our process, Kevin, I think you'll enjoy it. The people at the Sonoma Town Hall were also nice, and it was, for us, it was really the first time, like once you have it on paper, like, because I feel like it, like at least in Justin and I's head, we had like a million different ideas of what we wanted the shop to look like, and then once you had it on paper, it's like you can actually visualize everything like in 3D and just kind of see it there and let your imagination kind of run wild. And that was a really fun part of the process for us, at least. Like that was kind of a turning point. Like, okay, like now we know what it's going to look like. Like, how can we make it look exactly like that? So
Definitely.
And just to go back to your little hamlet village, whatever that is up there, Kevin.
Yeah. Yep.
True or false that you might be the only one who's had family members reach out to you about having listened to the podcast?
True story. I mean, I can only speak for myself, but I know that the support that I'm getting from my family has been wonderful. Mainly compliments of me, which is always the icing on the cake. But I will say that I have been told by multiple people that you guys need to get your audio going a little bit better here.
Wow.
So listen, constructive criticism is always a good thing.
No, we
It's
love
better.
it. We embrace it.
Right. They love the pod. I had my dad say that he almost had a heart attack, that boxes of cards are now $9,000 when we started opening cards and it was $100 a box. So yeah, it's cool to sort of have people who don't really know much about the hobby, who I've coaxed into listening to this, to basically just be like, wow, I still have no idea what you guys are talking about, but you look like you're having fun. I got that from a couple of people too. So
That's good.
Again,
Well,
thank you
we
everybody
are-
for the support. If you've made it to podcast number 2, you're a real one. We appreciate you.
Yeah, we
And
appreciate you.
we'll keep this train going.
Yeah, and we expect to see you on episodes 3 through infinity and beyond. Now, Cody, you teased some Instagram videos. One involves maybe a misplaced back door in your shop, and then the other one involves something called a palapinto wall or something.
pimento.
Yeah, a pimento wall. But you have to go to the Instagram channel to see that. But apparently, Cody, you've got a kind of a lengthy list of honeydews from the city now, right?
Yeah, so essentially, and you'll get the whole breakdown as to why the door isn't going to work out where it currently is and why it's not an easy fix to just move it to the back door. But yeah, I mean, it's, I said it in the video, but it's not as easy as just opening up a shop and like renting a building and then you open, right? Like it's a whole lot more than that. And now we have a whole another list of stuff that we have to get checked off by the city. One of them also involving an AC unit. Hopefully we have all that ironed out. The back door, we don't have an answer on, but my contractor said we're going to go ahead and keep going anyway. So we'll figure out the back door later.
To your point about it being more than just opening the door, our display cases are full, buy it all, and we're a hobby shop.
The city gave us an original approval on our plans. And now once they came out and looked at it, they're saying, no, that back door can't go where it goes. But then not only that, this week we have plumbing coming in, electric coming in. We have framing potentially going up. We hopefully have a solution to our AC problem. Once all that gets installed, the city then has to come out again and approve it all before we begin putting up walls and offices and stuff like that. So to give everyone a little behind the curtain access, we are in a little bit different scenario than New York and California, in that my shop in Texas is a brand new location, brand new building, brand new location. New York and California are going into a place that was previously leased. So while they are running into problems like a tree growing through their floor, that I'm very thankful that we don't have, they do have the advantage of not having to start over, or not start over, but basically start from scratch and put a lot more work and a lot more permits in.
Cool. So another one.
And then real quick, I wanted to add something, Tracy.
Oh yeah, sure.
If you don't mind, if I may.
No, I don't mind. In fact, I'm
It's going off script, everybody.
So, Trey, I may just be an idiot, but I didn't realize that most people in Kentucky are Bengals fans, right?
It's a plague. But definitely Bengals all across the state is Bengals. I'm a Titans fan, and being like an hour from Nashville, it's still the minority whenever I was growing up. And there's definitely not that many Titans fans in Lexington. Bengals, like, it took over Lexington completely. Every kid that comes in is, I want a Joe Burrow. Like, everybody that's coming in, it's Higgins, it's insane. And it's not just Jimmy, who I guess he'll be going to the Super Bowl from what he's saying. So that'll be pretty awesome for somebody from the Roadshow to be going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But it's definitely Bengals. There's not really an NBA team here. It's kind of just wherever Kentucky guys go. And then it's absolutely a Cincinnati Reds state too. So Skyline Chili and like Cincinnati Reds, that's pretty much it here.
I dig it. And it's funny, Trey, you mentioned last week in episode 1 that your town is a football collecting town, and then you proved that to be true this week when you sold out of all of football. How much of the success of the football sellouts had to do with what the Bengals did in the AFC Championship game, and how much of it was just momentum from previous weeks?
Oh, absolutely. It had so much to do with Burrow. People were coming in wanting to buy all of the 2020 boxes, and luckily we had just done a huge reorder. You guys, Tracy and Ryan, you guys were down here last week when I was going through all those reorders and trying to get as much 2020 stuff as we could, and kind of betting that Burrow would win and we would have all this stuff. And then it actually happened. And before we opened today, I already had people coming in trying to be like, hey, what 2020 do you have? Okay, you sold out of this. Give me all of the boxes on the shelf. And it was awesome. And they were just saying, like, I want a Burrow auto. I want Burrow this. Like, what Burrow autos do you have in shop? It was crazy. And in our year and 5 months that we've been open, I've never really had that. You'll have, you're chasing after LaMelo in this product. You're chasing after whatever. Whenever the Kaboom stuff was going on with Absolute, I couldn't keep that stuff on the shelf. But, I mean, this was on massive checklist. People saying, I just want to rip something and chance that I get a Burrow. Can you order me 2020 NT? Can you order me a case of 2020 Prism? Things like that. And I've never had anything like that in our 15 or our 16 months that we've been open. It's just absolutely wild. Even Jimmy at trade night traded for a Burrow tie-dye patch auto at trade night with our good buddy. And that was definitely the theme of trade night, was people going after Burrows, people going after football. And by the way, I want to get to everybody else too, but man, trade night was just awesome for our second one. And I know, Kevin in New York, like, if I say it was a blizzard, like, it's not really a blizzard, but it was snowing like crazy. And it got so bad so fast. And we were kind of like, we don't really want everybody to drive an hour to get here and then nobody be able to go home. So we made a video and said, look, we're here because me, Jimmy, and David were pretty much just stuck there anyways. And we said, if you're here, come on, let's hang out. So like 7 o'clock, we had about six dudes sitting around the back table. And we're like, okay, cool. Like, whatever, we'll hang out. We know these guys. In the next 5 minutes, roughly like 30 or 45 more people showed up.
Wow.
You couldn't walk through the shop complete. Like, you had to walk all the way around. You had people from the age of probably 8 years old up until their 60s in there. There was a whole, like the back table and the bar, was people doing huge deals. people trading Burrows and Morants and whatever. But then in the front, you had, maybe people my age that were just getting into the hobby that were trading back and forth $10, $15 cards. And then you had a table full of, like kids from the school next door that had walked over after school and were trading with each other and ripping boxes. And it was awesome. And just from top to bottom, it was an absolute success. We kept it going an hour past the scheduled time just because nobody wanted to go home. And that might have had to do with the fact that you couldn't really walk out of our shop because of the snow. But
Captive audience.
Yeah, it was awesome. So just thankful that it went well. Everybody got home safe from it. And we're really looking forward to doing it again in February.
That's awesome. I'm going to ask, I haven't looked, but I know Kevin has. And this is not pertaining to your RPA analysis, Kev, that you've so diligently prepared beforehand. But I want to know, because I haven't looked, I want to know what y'all think the roof is, the ceiling is for Joe Burrow RPAs, NT RPAs. I mean, where are they now? Where were they before he won last week? And where do you think they're going if he wins the Super Bowl? Go.
Cody's probably best suited to speak on this right now because he's done the most research on that specific topic.
He's in possession.
I literally have looked up Burrow NT RPAs like 10 times a day since they won. Like I was like refreshing my eBay searches during the game. But no, so to give you a little perspective, like 3 or 4 months ago, they were hovering around 10 grand. I mean, it shows you could easily get them for 7,500 to 8,000 raw. And Herbert was basically 2.5 to 3x of that. And now with his run, Burrow raw, there's one on eBay right now. I looked probably around noon today. I think there's still like 2 days left on it, but I'm watching it. It's at 32,000 and that's raw. So, I think the raw is probably going to end around 40 is kind of my guess. And then I've been doing a lot of research and just comparing them to other players. It's a little tough just because right now I think he's priced probably pretty accurately for how well he's performed. 40K, it's a lot of money, but for a sophomore quarterback that really didn't even have a rookie season because of the ACL injury, that's basically Mahomes level. Mahomes, I was looking, and I think the last Mahomes that I could find was like a 9.5/10 auto, 2-color patch, and I think it was like over 300,000. So now that's a guy that's made it to 4 straight AFC championships, but he only has 1 Super Bowl under his belt. So I think that's Burrow's ceiling, right? Like second year Super Bowl appearance already. If he wins the Super Bowl this year, happens to end up Super Bowl MVP, I think that he's going to be in the 6 figures for sure on his RPAs.
Now, do we worry about future, like just with how good the AFC is and how good the young quarterbacks are there, right? Like, obviously people say don't necessarily jump and buy somebody like in the hype right now, right? But realistically, this could be your only option, right? Because again, like you said, 40 is a lot of money. But I mean, it wasn't 300 is a whole nother stratosphere. Where
it wasn't really that long ago that Mahomes was there. To your point, Kev.
Right, exactly, and so like part of what I worry about is Mahomes, Josh Allen, Burrow. Herbert's right on the cusp. People are mentioning him.
You probably wanted to mention Drew Lock too.
Drew Lock, the legend.
I was actually going to say, with all these rumors of Aaron Rodgers
heading to Denver.
Good grief! If that happens, the AFC West is
right. And so it's like, yes, Joe Burrow has been nothing short of amazing and is on the cusp of doing something that nobody has ever done before ever with Heisman, Natty, and a Super Bowl. But it's like, man, everybody thought Mahomes is good at that price, right? And then Mahomes gets humbled a little bit this year, and you're like, okay. Future prospecting gets tricky, but to your point, that card jump from 10 to 40 in a 3-month span and I'd love to see what happens right after the Super Bowl if they do turn around and win it.
I mean, on the other side too, Matt Stafford stuff was insanely cheap preseason. I mean, I posted a picture of it, but I got a gold Topps Chrome refractor of Matt Stafford, a PSA 10, for less than $100 before
Wow.
the season started, and it's like $3,000 now, like $2,500, $3,000, somewhere in there. Like, I mean, his stuff is just off the charts now too. It's been a while, I think, because of like the Brady Mahomes back and forth duels that we've had for so long. It's
Right.
been a while that we've had like a new guy on the scene, and now we have two new guys on the scene that haven't been new on the scene, meaning they haven't been to a Super Bowl yet. And we're guaranteed one of them is going to get a ring. So it's definitely going to be interesting to watch both those guys' prices over the next 4 to 6 weeks.
And it's interesting that you say Stafford, right? Because think about, like, Stafford by no means is getting any younger, right? And
Sure.
again, with buying into the hype, buying into the Super Bowl, like it's an interesting play to be buying Stafford right now, right? I mean, would you think? Because if
Yeah,
you're
I mean,
buying now,
in my opinion, if he wins, like, he's on that Aaron Rodgers level, though, right? Like, he only has one title, but his numbers are top 10 worthy. I think that's the only thing that's keeping Stafford out of that conversation. You know, if he wins a Super Bowl, you know, his numbers aren't where Rodgers is because he's only 4 years behind him. But if you look like season averages, and I think Aaron Rodgers is the top 10 quarterback of all time. So, you know, if Matt Stafford wins, you know, there's an argument to be made that his prices should be pushing where Rodgers currently is, in my
good
opinion.
point. Yeah.
So this is a different sport, obviously, but Ryan, do you remember kind of what happened with Curry stuff when he finally won? What was I guess, can you compare and contrast that with what people expect out of the Burrow?
Yeah. So the thing with Curry, actually, which I actually talked to a guy on Instagram about this earlier today, is what happened with Curry is because everybody was expecting them, like, they were doing really well, and they're like, oh, like, there's so much hype, prices are climbing. As soon as he won his first championship, so many people started selling because they're like, oh, this is the peak, that it was actually, like, oddly enough, a very good time to buy, because you now, like, beforehand, like, so this is when I bought my Crown Royale and my Classics autos, and those ones, like, you may see like one a month on eBay or one every couple of months, and then there was like 5 or 6 of them at auction, like right after the, you know, and so you just wait and kind of see, and then you hopefully get the lowest of the 5, and it's like it worked out really well. So it all depends, but nowadays, with most people just really wanting the NTRPA, I mean, back then, like, Curry RPAs were $7,000, so it's like it's a whole different ball game now. There's, like, prospecting today versus what it was then is tougher. I feel like a lot of people, if he wins, will more than likely hold versus what people did back then, which is what, like, oh, let's sell right now. He won, like, time to dump. So
Yeah, you can't touch him now. I mean, they're
yeah. By the second and third one, it was like his prices were already, like, to that point where it was like, okay, this is a ton of money. Whereas back then it was like, I can afford to spend this because, you know, if he doesn't win another one, that's fine. But, you know, the second and third one, it was like, okay, like, you can't touch him.
I mean, a 9 is what, like $250,000 now
For what?
for Curry RPAs?
Oh, like, so Jimmy's card is would be, I thought that card was like 600,000, 600 to 800.
Oh, is it? Man, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
I took a picture of it. Yeah, what's up? That's the closest I'll ever get to that kind of card. But outside of Mahomes, I was trying to think, when you guys were talking about Burrow, any other examples of guys who were heavily invested in early, who won a Super Bowl in pretty short order. And outside of Mahomes, I mean, Brady, yeah, but the back then it wasn't the investment angle wasn't there.
So something I'll also say is that, and I was having this conversation with my brother Chase, who, shout out, is going to be helping me run the Texas shop.
Hey, what's up, Chase?
We were talking and we were like, you know, it's going to be interesting because, like, so a lot of times collectors are diversified in what they have, right? Like, you go to tables, and obviously there are some guys that are just heavy on one guy, but I think majority of card shows you go to, they have like a little Herbert, a little Josh Allen, a little Lamar Jackson, a little Joe Burrow, whatever. But like, you didn't really see Joe Burrow like leading up to the season. I think everyone was scared to put big money on him because of RPA. So like, especially since the boom, to your point, Tracy, I don't think that there's anybody that's been in the Burrow position since the boom, since the card boom. So it's going to be really interesting to watch. But I think I think as a whole, including myself, collectors are going to be kicking themselves, or investors too are going to be kicking themselves, because Burrow was there for the taking. You know, I think Herbert's one of those guys where like he already has like I don't know if he has a Super Bowl priced in, but he already has an AFC championship priced into his cards.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So like, but Burrow wasn't that guy, you know, like Burrow was coming off an ACL injury. He was irrelevant in the hobby, so to speak, because he missed so much time. His like face wasn't in the media regularly and wasn't on First Take and Sports Center and everything. So we're kind of in this really interesting period where, you know, I think a lot of collectors and investors are going to be looking back like, man, just 3 months ago, I could have had steals on this guy because I just don't think there was a lot of faith in him with how strong the AFC was this year to do what he did.
So actually,
Chase.
yeah.
What did you say, Ryan?
I say he also didn't have Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And
Well, that's-
we look at guys that, you know, you could at their peak, like you don't want to invest in those peaks. But Burrow right now, you look at what the future could be for him. So I don't think the AFC North is really that impressive, at least next year. You're going to say, okay, well, Lamar and the Ravens are going to be better. What are the Browns even going to be? The Steelers might be a rebuild if they go after Pickett or Corral or whatever they choose to do. It's lined up pretty well for the Bengals to be really good again next year. It's also lined up with their salary cap. I think they have almost $60 million that they can go out and spend on a line. That
If they don't spend every penny of that on an O-line, there is something wrong.
They can go out and get another elite pass rusher, whatever they choose to do. The Bengals are going to be a grade above whatever they are this time next year in a division that's going to be pretty much the exact same as it was this year. So it's not as risky of like a buy, I feel like, at this point. Obviously, we saw with Mahomes' division 3 years ago, you would have been like, man, the Mahomes division, it sucks. Like, he's going to be going up against, you know, sorry, Tracy, but I mean, whatever the Broncos were throwing out there every week. Teddy Two Gloves, Teddy Covers out there now. And, you know, the Chargers at that point had no idea really what their plans were before Herbert. The Mahomes line looked pretty good for the future, and now he might have Herbert, Carr. Yeah, they might have Carr. Yeah. Sorry, Justin, but who knows? Like what it'll be in 2 years. But I feel like next year, I mean, that AFC North, they could make another run at it and win 12, 13 games in that division.
All this is leading me up to getting me really excited about next year in the Dallas Cowboys run that they're going to make in the weak NFC.
The run to what? The first round of the playoffs or the
Hopefully,
second?
like a first round win, maybe.
As long as there's not 14 seconds on the clock, they'll be fine.
Yeah, that's
Wow, opening up fresh wounds here.
Yeah, see, you guys all. I didn't feel y'all's pain because we didn't even make the playoffs, baby. I didn't have to worry about it.
That's true.
Justin's been walking around in a Raiders playoff hoodie lately.
Yeah,
You're also the only person in the Super Bowl in like this millennium of anybody.
Yeah, it's also true.
So
But
next week, how about next week before, because we have a bye week between the conference championship and the Super Bowl, we compare and contrast Jamar Chase values versus Cooper Kupp values. That could be fun.
That'll be good.
Ooh.
But it will be fun. I have a fun fact if you want to include this.
Is it fun or random?
Both.
Okay.
So Joe
We'll be the
Burrow, I
judge of
think
that.
we all know Joe Burrow has the potential to be the first one to be to win a national championship, to win the Heisman, and to win the Super Bowl. That's never happened before. Okay.
Okay.
2 other players have won a national championship and a Super Bowl. Do you all want to guess who those 2 are, or do you want
Joe
me to-
Namath.
Joe Namath.
National championship and a Super Bowl.
There's one other.
not Staubach, is it?
Mm-mm.
No. Okay.
Is it a quarterback?
It is.
Did he also play for the University of Alabama?
He did not.
Ooh.
I was going to guess Bart Starr,
I
but
know, that's what I was thinking.
That's a
too.
good guess.
Jim Plunkett.
Nope. That's a good guess, though.
Kirby Puckett.
Most would argue that he's the second best quarterback of all time.
Joe Montana.
Mac
Joe
Jones.
Montana. Yes, Mac Jones. So I just want to point out it's happened twice, and it was Joe Namath and Joe
And Joe
Montana,
Montana,
and this could be the third with
Joe
Burrow.
Burrow.
Wow.
So the three Joes.
Those are not just regular Joes, man.
Joe knows.
So before we get, just real quick, Kev, because I know you
Yeah.
prepared some research diligently,
Quick.
and I want you to be able to share that because it is compelling data, if you will. So share that, and then we'll go to Trey about just when you thought he had no football on the shelves. Maybe he does have football on the shelves. But Kev, let's go to you
Good
first.
foreshadowing. Yeah. So as we talked about in episode 1, Immaculate Football dropped and early sales numbers are in for individual cards.
Mhm.
And I specifically looked at, just out of curiosity, the true Immaculate RPAs at a 99, just to see what some of the top guys have done in the class. And so there are numbers on some of them. There are not numbers on all of them. But interestingly, Trey Lance, there have just been none listed at all. Like Trey Lance has no Immaculate RPAs up on
Is he
eBay.
live?
I don't know because it's not listed. Like I haven't seen him in a break or anything. I think he's live though from seeing people post highlights, but none have made eBay. Trevor Lawrence has had one sold. It was $1,400 for a one color patch.
Okay.
Mac Jones was at $1,600 for his one sold. Jamar Chase, none have sold at the time of this recording, but there's one listed for $1,500 or best offer.
What do you think that would go for? Do you guys have any kind of idea of what that would go for?
It's sitting with a lot of watchers at $1,500. I feel like it's risky to drop over $1,000 on a wide receiver. Like,
can you imagine though if that card goes for what Mac Jones or Trevor Lawrence goes for?
The problem is like I fall into this trap every year going to the season. I'm like, skill position players are so undervalued. Surely this is going to be the year.
And it never is.
And it never, like, even DK Metcalf had an unreal rookie season, and like he was fine, but like was still like behind the 4th or 5th best quarterback.
Yeah.
Right. It's
for our
wild.
listeners, Trey Lance is live and immaculate, but he only has shadow box sales, no RPAs. So
Oh, wow.
I would assume he is live. Maybe just hasn't been pulled yet.
Right. Possibly.
Short print.
And right. And then we have two big-ish quarterbacks who are both redemptions, and that is Wilson and Fields.
Okay.
And Fields, one has sold $1,500, so right up there with the big boys. And then I guess sort of head scratching, but at the end of the day, it's the Jets. Wilson only did $345. So like just to see the comparison, and Cody's eyes are lighting up for those of you listening on Spotify right now and not watching the video. But wild to see the differences there. And then just quickly to go off football, but the other big release last week, Flawless. We have seen a LaMelo RPA out of 25 do $21,000 on bids. And the only Anthony Edwards that have sold so far in the pro unis have been straight autos, no patch autos yet. The straight autos are doing about $3,500 each, but he does have a patch auto out of 10 that's $20K with bids. And as of the time of recording, still has a couple of days left. So again, those folks who were gambling on the $10,000 boxes last week, I hope that one of those was in there, because those numbers are impressive. And the cool thing that Flawless hung their hat on this year, being released so late, was game used jerseys for the rookie class. So that's another thing that people were buying into, potentially driving the price of those up.
Yeah, I was going to say, and I think this has been that way for at least a couple of years now, or as of late. For sure this year, though, that's the only game used patch that the rookies have.
Yep.
So I'm still of the opinion that Flawless singles are undervalued, just because you look at the box price compared to like NT box price. Flawless is typically more, and you're getting on-card autos with game use stuff that's numbered. The true RPAs are numbered to 25 as opposed to 99. I don't know, man. Flawless singles, I think over the next like 3, 4, 5 years, you're definitely going to see a jump on them.
It just shows how interesting the mindset. the mindset of collectors, right? That like, yes, I mean, look at 2012 National Treasures. Like those RPAs were numbered at a 199, right? And
Mhm.
like people preferred that over flawless. People like collectors in this industry sort of once something becomes king, it is so hard to dethrone it. And yes, Cody, I mean, to your point, people complain about player worn stuff on a daily basis,
Yeah.
right? But then here Panini is being like, okay, well, we're offering you guys game used on a silver platter here or a gold briefcase, and people are still running back to National Treasures, so it's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. That is the one. I will say this. That is the one thing over all my years. I say all my years. I'm like a third of what Tracy has, but like it's like the most confusing thing because like everybody wants game use and everybody wants on card, but then like to be honest, a lot of select patch autos and stuff outsell flawless, and I'm just
I think they want a pretty patch.
it's very confusing.
I think they want a pretty patch above anything else. Player worn, game worn. I mean, a
Not
four
associated.
color. What would you say, Rye?
Oh, you said player worn, game worn, not associated with any event, game, or
Yeah,
season.
I mean, if it's a pretty patch, a 4 breaks, 6 color thing, it's going to demand a premium. It seems like.
Yeah, and
I
I
think the
think
NFL should consider making all teams get new jerseys, because if you look at like New York specifically, like the Jets and the Giants, like the best you're doing is 2 colors there. Like there's no, ridiculous colorful logo. So I think
Well,
NFL, if
maybe
you're listening,
I don't have any
Hey, Roger.
family there, but maybe if they had maybe like an equity stake in the NFL card market, maybe they could make those changes.
interesting.
I
don't
mean,
know if they do.
but isn't it? I don't know. It's just so interesting to me, like that we as collectors, and I'm guilty of it as anybody else, like complaining about patches not being from a specific event. But at the end of the day, we're to blame for Panini putting that in product because, I mean, Panini looks at me and Tracy know this firsthand. Panini, their product development team looks at resales of, resale value of cards and singles market. And at the end of the day, if there really is not a higher price to be paid on gaming stuff versus player worn, there's a pretty good argument there to put player worn in there and provide, like Tracy said, better patches. And at the end of the day, that is the market currently.
Yeah, I mean, they've specifically tracked what people are paying for game worn like rookie stuff, and I mean the premiums doesn't justify the cost and the hassle of going to find authentic game worn stuff of rookies when you can get them all worn at the rookie photo shoot and cut them up and have them all season. So when that ever tips and the values are never going to be higher for a 1 color game worn swatch versus a 4 color player worn swatch. It's just never going to happen, I don't think.
I think though, like interestingly, that was news to me, and I've we've known each other for years, and that was something that whether I didn't bother to ask or just wasn't information that was volunteered, like I don't know if collectors know that, and not to say that that'll tip the needle and get people to sort of start a rebellion. That's not the way that this goes most of the time, but like it is interesting, and you look at, like we've said this time and time again now on our 2 episodes, but like they're releasing so many products, right? And there's only so many games, and so in rookie heavy relic card products, right, which most products are, you're going to get a rookie 1 color relic. Do you burn through game used on that, like, or where do you set the precedent? And especially if we're not seeing a difference in price, like, yes, like to your guys' point, it's hard to justify Panini going out there and spending the extra money to secure game worn when at the end of the day, people are all talk on whether it matters or not.
Yeah, because people, like, my anecdotal evidence is that people really appreciate when a card has game worn memorabilia in it. Do they appreciate it enough to pay a higher price? Probably not, but they really enjoy, like if they had their preference. It's like if we all had our preference, we would certainly pick on card versus sticker autograph, but we don't want the players to touch the cards to sign them. But, oh, he's damaged in the corners. And it's like, what do you want? You want a sticker that he doesn't touch and he doesn't have to damage it? You want him to touch the card and sign it? You want like a conveyor belt where he never – it's like, there's all these kind of dilemmas that are like first world card collecting problems, but they're dilemmas nonetheless.
And speaking of players damaging the cards, I think we've seen our boy Mr. Wilson.
Speaking of Zach Wilson.
Yes. Speaking of Zach Wilson, we saw the video of him signing his contender stuff, and my heart broke for Panini CS because none of those are tenon with the way that he was shooting those across.
That was the most
table.
accurate he was all season. Just
wow.
Shots fired.
Didn't he win a couple of like Rookie of the Week awards? But
I mean, he did beat the Titans. Yeah, so I can't say anything.
He almost beat the Bucks.
He beat the Bengals.
He ended
Or Mike
the
White.
Bengals and the Titans.
Mike White, my bad.
Or,
Mikey Ice.
Oh, actually, it may have been Mike White.
yes,
It may have been Mike White.
accurate.
He got hot for about 20 minutes.
Yeah, talk about RPA.
Oh my gosh. Speaking of RPAs, I don't even know if the product that we're about to talk about has RPAs, but Trey, you kind of mentioned at the top of the show that you completely sold out of football, but perhaps some other product could come to your rescue this week.
Panini just dropped a nice little present on our door today of 2021 playoff football. Found out about it, I guess, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and delivered today, so we'll have it ready to go tomorrow. We have a full case of that ready to go direct from Panini. It's actually the product that has the green preview contenders optic autos.
Oh, nice.
So those are always really popular. Hopefully we get one of those pulled in shop tomorrow. It's a pretty cool product. I think it's kind of like on the lines of some of the other stuff that Panini's put out this year, like Classics Premium, Prestige, H2, things like that. Just a fun, really cool rip. So we'll have some of that in shop tomorrow. And one other thing that was pretty cool that we found out about, I know my man Ryan's going to like this, basketball player of the day. We the promotion, everything, we got it all signed up today. Nobody loves player of the day like a Channels, man. I'm not going to lie. Justin and Ryan love player of the day like nothing I've ever seen before.
The Panini Player of the Day program it's a no-lose proposition. It's free to participate.
It's so fun.
And somebody in your shop, if you're the winning shop, you're going to get to spend the day with an NBA player. I mean, how cool is that?
They're going to fly you out and send you to hang out with Malachi Flynn all day.
I know in years past they've had Shaquille O'Neal was one of the guys that a lucky winner got to spend time with. Carl Anthony, I think, was a player. So they do a good job. It's free.
Football. I can't remember who the football one was last year.
Matt Jones.
I saw it was one of them had to be digital last year. I can't remember who it was, but
Mac Jones was
cool.
virtual, I think.
It was Mahomes a couple years ago, right?
Yeah, Mahomes has been there. Antonio Brown before he left the field, he was one of those guys. So
that's how he left the party that night.
He just
yanked off like a Panini Player of the Day shirt and like waved it around, leaving.
And then gave the deuces. Also, look, next week we need to look at Tom Brady as well, probably. I'm not sure if his retirement's official. He's not retiring. I don't know what's going on. We'll talk about that next week. We'll talk about Cooper Kupp, Jamar Chase. Ryan, real quick before we go.
Sure.
I want to know your thoughts because you have a new head coach. Josh McDaniels is the new head coach in Las Vegas. Thoughts?
Well, so Justin's been nonstop about this. He just based on him, I'd say.
Too bad he's not here to talk about it.
Huh?
I said, too bad he's not here to talk about it.
Yeah, I
Get
was
on his private jet.
Shove me off screen and be like, "Oh, hey, I'm here. No, but yeah, it seems like the right move. I mean, DC seemed pretty excited about it, and it's one of those things like 5-time Super Bowl champ. It brings a lot of experience, and that's something that a lot of recent experience. I think the Raiders have kind of need is somebody who's been here recently and just kind of because I think the game plan with them. I mean, with a lot of teams, but especially the Raiders with Derek Carr, and the question of his future is they need someone who can win now, and they need someone who's willing to come in and show Derek, prove to Derek Carr that he is worth their time. They need a coach that's going to come in and is going to get him the weapons he needs, get him the O-line and everything, and I think that he can do it, and time will tell. But yeah, Justin and I listened to a podcast with David Carr talking about his thoughts on his brother's future, and he was saying that this seems like a very good move, a very good step forward, and that Derek is just patiently waiting to see what the Raiders will do to prove to him that he should stay. So.
And then he got sacked mid-interview.
Yeah, dude, did you see that stat about his sacks in a season? It was like 70 or something. It was ridiculous.
Imagine if he does get a line. If he's doing this with running for his life, imagine what he's going to do when he doesn't have to run for his life. We have to go. This has been Roadshow Roundup, episode number 2. Kevin, Trey, Ryan, Cody, tell Justin to get home safely. Lots of good stuff next week. Enjoy the Pro Bowl, I guess, and the NBA. And we'll see you real soon. And we love you. Hello, everybody. Tracy Hackler, Roadshow Cards, and I am honored, excited, stoked to be joined now by the Roadshow Breaks crew, the gentlemen who bring you the online breaks that you so love on YouTube, live, on Loop, on whatnot. We have Brian Fillmore, we have Jimbo Reyes, and the newest member of the Roadshow Cards, Roadshow Breaks family, Mike Schifolo. Top right. Little known fact: Mike and I have the same hometown, which is crazy because it's not a big town. Flower Mound, Texas. Shout out to the people of the Mound. And just wanted to kind of bring them on, kind of lead with Brian, kind of talk about how long Roadshow Breaks has been rolling.
I was doing breaks from my house for a while. We came into our office lease in March or April. Then we got Jimbo, brought him on. So I've been doing this a long time, so it's not a shock or a complete overwhelm of everything new. So it's just a matter of getting everything up and running in the beginning. So
yeah, you have been doing. How long? When did you first start breaking as your big hurt?
Yeah, so I got started in like late 2010, just getting back into the hobby. My cousin got some packs for my son for Christmas, and then his birthday's the next month. And we were just blown away by the chrome. He got him Topps chrome, so we're opening it. We're blown away, refractors and everything, and just went like full on into the deep end. His birthday was the next month, so we started really diving in, went, overboard like everybody else, getting back into the hobby. But we started through that. I would watch break videos of Chris Justice, Cards Infinity, just to get a feel of the new products and what was coming out, how they were collated, what you could get in the boxes and stuff like that. And from there, you had the little sidebar on YouTube. Yeah. And Chad Firehand, or The Truth at that time, he would always pop up. And I'm like, what is this guy? Why is he always talking to the camera? Who's he talking to? What are these guys doing? And so the more and more I got into that, joining breaks and stuff, I'm like, man, it'd be really fun to do this on the other side of the camera. So it kind of grew from there. I think I started doing it full time in 2013.
And then Jimbo, when did you come on?
Yeah, so I came on officially for full time with the Roadshow in April last year.
Do you ever find that people recognize your voice before they recognize your face?
Yeah, for sure. Now, so, back in the day before I started full time, though, I would go on my Instagram and I would just rip personals for myself, and it was fun because I would never sell anything. It was just, I didn't want to have that aspect. It was just having fun ripping. So it's been fun getting into the different like breaking full time. And I used to show my face a lot back on Instagram, but now I don't as much. And it's like we dabbled it in a little bit here with Luke, trying to figure out a way to do both, because we did it for one night. I remember I did it for one night, and we pulled a massive 6-card auto of like Messi, Ronaldo, one of those Pele and all that. And my reaction apparently was like, people were screenshot sending me on Instagram. I was like, this is fun. They're like, Jimbo, that card was cool, but your reaction was, I was like, oh, I had no idea. Like, I think I do that every time we pull a big card.
That's huge.
So
that's awesome. And then Mike, your feet are just now getting wet. You've been there. You've been here almost 2 weeks, I guess now. And
Yeah, about 2 weeks.
what kind of as a new guy coming in? Obviously, you're not new to the industry. You've done a lot of video work for some heavy hitters. But what's been your biggest revelation since you've come on?
Just the amount of wax that is actually open. I didn't know that people would spend this amount of money and buy all this wax and all the cool cards that come out.
Yeah. So Brian, kind of talk about how do you decide what's going where and when?
We kind of have them split up now. You know, the YouTube channel is primarily designated for group breaks. Sometimes when those breaks are over, if we have a lull between filling breaks, we'll open it up for personals. But the personal breaks are all really dedicated to loop. We haven't gotten into whatnot a whole lot. We're still trying to figure out what we want to use it for. We've done a little, card auctions. We used it for the charity auction, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah.
It worked out really great for us there. Just trying to figure out what we can use that for.
Yeah.
Also.
Jimbo, what's your preferred break platform?
Honestly, I'm a big fan of everything. And it's different communities, different products, like different setups. So it's kind of like, I always say, it's kind of like an a la carte or a menu, on what you're feeling. With the group breaks, it's kind of, you're going into it, you're going in and just opening cards. You're not waiting to do like the next sale or something like that. You can kind of relax and open it, talk to the chat. And it's just different. Whatnot's really, really, really fast. You have to have about 7 of these energy drinks beforehand and have the energy ready to go and being organized. And Loop is
that's why we got these young guys.
Yeah.
100%.
And with Loop, it's, you just have your different pockets of community of people. So they're all great, honestly.
Yeah, that is a real interesting point though, because you've got 3 distinctly different platforms and they all have their own unique audiences with some crossover, but not a lot of crossover, which is, I guess it's comfort level and what you feel more familiar with. So that's a good point. Best single for all 3 of you guys. And I'll start with Mike. I know you've only been there a couple of weeks, but what's the best pull that each of you have had? And what was your feeling knowing that you were never going to own it?
So it's kind of a tie for me. Out of Donruss Soccer, I pulled a Cristiano Ronaldo Portugal uniform auto, which was beautiful. I've never pulled a Ronaldo in my life. But then on last Friday, I pulled a Bo Bichette Sapphire Orange out of 25, which was awesome. I'm not the biggest baseball guy, but Jimbo has been telling me about baseball, and he's like, that card's pretty big. So
beautiful
That's
card.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What about you, Jimbo?
So that's tough because there's been so many, but one that actually crossed my mind was not only the 6, the 6 autos of the soccer greats, the Pele, Ronaldo, Messi, and like Wayne Rooney or 2 others on the back. But recently, one that's crossed my mind was a Joe Burrow auto out of Chronicles, the vinyl, Prison Black, which I am a huge fan of the new Prison Black out of Chronicles.
Looks beautiful.
And that was like one of our first months on Loop. And it was funny because this room was way different. We were testing Loop, and I actually made a table out of like top loaders, like cases of top loaders, and like literally like a piece of wood. So it's like the pioneer days of Loops. It was like all together. It was awesome.
I love it.
But I like the question how you said, and how did it makes you feel like when you pull the card, knowing that you'll never own it? It's way different. The biggest thing is like when you start opening stuff for other people, and I'm going to be completely honest, I get way more excited when I open something big for someone else. It's like no other. It is like, it's so cool because you can get excited for them. The chat's going. It's just awesome. And that card to me specifically had more layers to it because he messaged me later that night, was like, hey man, like that was awesome. Like I was having a tough day. It was like 4 a.m. He was on the West Coast. And it was like 4 a.m. And you might remember this night, Brian. It was like I went for like 14 hours, something crazy in the beginning. And I slept there. Like I remember leaving. It was 10 a.m. in the morning.
I remember.
And I was
My
just
wife
like,
was not happy that night.
yeah. But but he like him messaging me and he's like, dude, that was awesome. You were so nice. Cause he was new to cards and I was just, breaking down the different sets and different things I liked. And so there's a lot of layers to that. But it's way more than just cards.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. Brian, you've been doing this a lot longer. Is there one card that you've pulled that stands out?
Man, there's been a lot. And a lot of them are special because they'll have a cool story behind it. I think my personal favorite was 2015-16, before I merged over with the Roadshow. One of my really good buddies, I think we know him, Jimmy Mahan. He gets to do personals with me all the time. So he wanted to do some flawless. We did 15-16 flawless basketball and pulled a dual Kobe Shaq logo man 101. The Shaq logo man is from his 50th anniversary game, which he wore once. Yeah. And then the story that ended up happening behind that, Jimmy had sold the card to another guy, and among many different offers, chose him more for the experience behind the guy's a diehard Lakers fan, works for the Lakers, flew Jimmy out, had like a little tour of the Staples Center, went out on the floor, sat courtside. And so like the experience that comes from the cards and connecting people is always cool. You open enough, you're going to have a lot of really high end, expensive, cool hits. But the ones that really stand out to you are the ones that you're engaged with the person as well. And you have a bit of a backstory behind it.
Yeah, I agree completely. And so if people want to kind of get involved in a Roadshow break, what's the best way for them to act on that impulse?
So roadshowcards.com, you want to get in a group break, you would go there. We go on live on YouTube and rip them. If you're looking for personals, you can go see these guys on Loop. We got a channel on Loop, Roadshow Breaks. You can subscribe to that so you get a notification for them too when we go live. Got a full menu on there of all of our wax. You can pick out what you like, break it, ship it.
Awesome. And then one final question, because this is one that I wanted to, I was thinking about before we started, was so until we get three more shops open, California, New York, Texas, obviously by April 1st, we have one shop in Lexington, Kentucky, and then the massive Roadshow Breaks presence. Do you guys feel any additional pressure, not just trying to pull good cards for good, loyal paying customers, but kind of anchoring the business until the other three stores get open?
I feel the pressure. Like for me, it's more like I work for you guys to make sure that you guys get paid. And then everything else backfills in there. We want to, market's really hot and we're not taking all this money and stuffing it in our pockets. We're putting it back into card shops and into the communities and stuff like that. So trying to get this structured well, and also trying to be involved with developing those new shops it's a lot. And there's a lot of pressure. And I know that Jimbo can feel the weight of that also, but I've always got it.
Yeah. It drives us though, right? It drives us.
More. Well, you always just want to do more.
Yeah. More, better. Well, and you mentioned, Brian, you mentioned something that's really important to the Roadshow family is it's not just funding additional stores, it's going back into the communities.
Yeah.
Charitable works. And that's a pressure that maybe not a lot of hobby shops and breakers feel.
Just from a high level overview of our vision in keeping that, elevating the hobby, using cards as a vehicle to really bind and strengthen relationships. And then having the opportunity to put these shops up in these communities, being part of that community, not just being a store that's there that people come and buy from us, but being out there in the community to charity, youth events, things like that are really important.
Amen. Well, also important are you three gentlemen, Brian, Jimbo, new guy, Mike. thank y'all so much, and look forward to having you guys on again real soon.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Tracy.
Y'all be good.